Today's guest, it's an absolute legend. I think I speak for myself and from the Les Meals community that might listen to this episode. CALEY Jack, who is just an awesome person and who is an awesome trainer. So, CALEY, thank you so much. I've been looking forward to this opportunity. I want to start from the beginning. Where did you grow up?
Take it back to the fresh beginnings. Yeah, I'm born and raised in South Africa. I was born in a city called Johannesburg, which is a little bit north from where I live now. It's a 2-hour flight from Cape Town. So I was born in a little area called Benoni. Benoni in Johannesburg. And then when I was about four years old, we moved to Cape Town City, South Africa. And I've been here ever since.
Ever since?
Yeah, always been a South
Oh
African.
my, oh my God. I never thought you were like from South Africa.
Yeah. I mean, I've had the opportunity to travel extensively, globally, internationally, to many different parts of the world, but South Africa's always been my home.
Actually, I had the misconception that you were from New Zealand.
No, I'm
Like,
African. I'm South African. Yeah. Surprise.
yeah, because I know it's another misconception, but like all the other Les Mills trainers seems to be from New Zealand. Not all of them, of course, but seems like the most of the
And no,
Les Mills
I'm
trainers are
from a
from New
very
Zealand.
small, well, South Africa is not very small, but in a Les Mills world, it's a very small place. And every time I film for Les Mills releases, then I fly over to New Zealand.
Oh,
It's a lot
so
of travel,
every time there's
far away.
a master class is in New Zealand.
Yeah, every time that I've filmed in a release, that means that I have traveled from South Africa to New Zealand, and I've spent time in New Zealand rehearsing, learning choreography, and then filming. And then from there, I either depart to the next city for the next event or the next project, or I return home to South Africa. Yeah, that's what the past couple of years have involved.
So that kind of takes me to my next question. How
Yeah.
did you get in? What was your first encounter with Les Mills?
Okay, good question. Um, so back in 2013, Les Mills had
13.
never been to South Africa before. I think it may have been trialed very lightly in a couple of clubs, but it had never really launched exclusively into our gym chains. And so I had just finished studying and I had just become a group fitness instructor. I had maybe, I don't know, I had like maybe 1 or 2 gym slots on the class schedule at my club. And this particular gym chain that I was working for, they decided to bring Les Mills into South Africa as an exclusive product. I had no idea what Les Mills even was. I'd never heard of it. I didn't know what it was at all. I just know that I was very new to the industry and I had an open mind. I wanted to learn, I wanted experience. And so, yeah, long story short, I went on the training. It was a battle to get myself on the training because I was so new, and I was the youngest sort of in my gym club, so I never got priority slot to be there. They had
Okay.
given the other instructors that had been working at this gym the first invitation, and those particular instructors I think they were just really comfortable with the style of classes they'd been teaching for so many years that they really weren't interested in learning new things. And so I got a call the night before the training started, and they're like, "Hey, Kaylee, we actually have one more slot open for this workshop this week. Would you still like to be a part of it?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. I've been asking. Like, I really would love to learn more." So they're like, "Cool, just bring a water bottle, bring a sweat towel, and we need you to arrive at this address tomorrow morning, nice and early, and it's 6 or 7 days of training." So I was like, "All right, great, I'll see them tomorrow." I had no idea if it was a dance training. I didn't know if it was boxing. I didn't know. They didn't inform me what I was doing. And so I arrived on Monday morning, and here was Steve Tansey. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he is he's a UK presenter and trainer. He does a lot of the educational side for Les Mills International, and he was the first person I'd ever met from a Les Mills standpoint. He had a very thick British accent, but I actually thought he was Afrikaans, which is our second language here in South Africa. So I got a little embarrassed, and I kind of took a couple of minutes to gather what was happening. And then I realized, wow, there's actually an international trainer that's come to teach us something quite cool. And so he kind of gave us 30 minutes, and he's like, "All right, guys, pack your stuff away. We're going to do a master class." And it was grit cardio. This was my first
You started
experience
with grit.
I started with grit cardio, but I had no idea it was even a 30-minute class. He pressed play on the music, and he got started. Now, Steve Tansey, he's an absolute beast of an athlete, right? And at this stage, I think I'm kind of fit. I'm a group fitness instructor. I'm young. Like, I think I know what I'm doing. Oh my goodness, it was a humbling experience. I was dragging myself during the burpees. Now, this was like maybe grit, I don't know, grit cardio 2 or grit cardio 3, but man, did
3.
I have yeah, way back then. And so, like, this was my first experience into the Les Mills world. And so, anyway, we did back-to-back trainings because he was an international trainer. He was only booked in South Africa for a few days. So I did Les Mills Grit, IMT for 2 days. Then we did body combat straight after that for 2 days. And we did body pump straight after that for 2 days. So for 6 days straight, I was just absorbing so much information in my head. My body, I have never been in so much physical pain in my life. And so by the end of that week, I was like, layers of coaching, 5 key elements, like what is layer 1, why do we have to learn choreography? What is Les Mills? Like, what is it doing to my life? And so this one particular week had changed my life, and all I knew is that it had ignited a passion inside of me, and I wanted to know more. I wanted to know more. I wanted to do more. And so a couple of months passed. I did my certification. We then had a second Les Mills UK or British trainer come down, and then we did the next bout of training. So I certified in RPM, body balance, and Shabam. That means at this stage, like, I think we were maybe 5 months down the line, I was certified in 6 programs. And now the gym were ready to start testing Les Mills as a product in their gym nationwide. And so there was a very small group of us instructors, very new to the brand, and we started testing and trialing out Les Mills within South Africa for the very first time. And yeah, I guess the rest is history. From there, one thing led to the next. I was teaching for maybe like 1 year, and that's when the head office of Les Mills South Africa at that time, which was the UK, they decided that it was time to create a Les Mills South African trainer team and to build a stronger leadership team in South Africa. And so this was all done by invitation. And it was done so I was invited to attend this. I had to fly to Johannesburg, my home city where I was born. And we did boot camp. We did advanced training, and we did the whole selection process. Again, it was 7 days back to back of very intensive training. And not everybody that had started that boot camp and advanced training process were selected for the trainer team. So it was a very condensed and very intimate 7 days, but everyone really had to work very hard to prove themselves that they were ready to become a South African trainer. And yeah, so I became a South African trainer. And slowly but surely, they started upskilling me. I started taking modules. I started training up new instructors within South Africa. And then I had my very first invitation to a Les Mills Euro Summit. Now, this summit happens once a year. Yeah. You have a question?
I was going. What's summit? But I think you were going to explain that.
So the Euro Summit happens once a year annually, where the TAP team members, the trainers and presenters, all meet for a conference in Europe. And Les Mills International, all the big partnership brands will come together as a leadership team, and they will then take the trainers and presenters through educational workshops, advanced training. It's just an opportunity for all the trainers and presenters to meet up and to focus on upskilling as a team. But it really it's such a wonderful time where globally the trainers and presenters get to unite. So this was my first opportunity to meet a couple of international people. I hadn't really done a lot of travel up until that point in my life. I was still really young. And so out of our whole team in South Africa, which I think at that stage there were 12 of us, 4 of us were invited to attend the Euro Summit. But this was at our own expense. So that meant that I would need to pay for my own flights and my own accommodation and my own, spending money. And for a South African, we were very newly married, and I wasn't earning a lot of money at the time. I said to my husband, this is going to take quite a lot of money out of our savings. And he said, "Caley, are you serious about this? Is this something you really want to invest some of our time and money into?" And I just felt like at that stage God had put me in a position where there was opportunity to investigate, and I'd been working really hard up until that point, and I just knew I had this passion that had been ignited in my body, and I just thought, let me invest in this opportunity and see where it can take me from a global perspective. And so I went to this Euro Summit. And once I got the opportunity to meet all the beautiful international team members, one thing led to the next. A couple of months later, I had my first invitation to a Reebok photo shoot in New York City. And then I got to meet... Yep. My very first partnership photo shoot for Reebok and Les Mills, the co-branded clothing that they have. Yeah. So I did my first photo shoot in New York City, and this was in 2016. Then I was invited back for a second photo shoot. And at this stage, Les Jr., he was coordinating a lot of the photo shoots. And he asked me, he's like, "Hey, Caley, I'd really like to see you coach. We don't just want you part of the photo shoots, but I want to see what kind of skill you have or talent you have with your coaching." So he said, when you go back home to South Africa, he wants me to video record me teaching a class, and he wants to analyze that. And so I went home and I videoed myself teaching a grit class, and I had to submit that to Les Mills International, to Les Jr. I was so nervous. And from there I had my first invitation to present Les Mills Grit Cardio 19 in New Zealand. 19, yeah. And so I flew over and I was invited to teach 2 programs in this filming round, and that was Grit Cardio 19, and that was Body Balance 75. And wow, Yeah, 75. That was the first release I'd ever presented on for body balance and grit. And and then I just kept getting invited back, and the team, but just kept developing me. And there's so much more that you can ask me, but that's kind of how the journey started. Yeah.
Oh my. So what was the grit mix that you filmed yourself to send to Les Mills Jr.?
Oh, good question. I think it was I don't know what
I
number
think
it is.
maybe 18
It would have
or
been like
17.
no, it would have been somewhere between 12 and 14.
12 and 14. Wow.
Yeah, I think it would have been maybe 12. I've got 12 in my mind. Yeah, grit cardio 12.
So,
I think it was grit cardio 12 that I filmed myself teaching.
um,
At
so
this
do you
stage,
feel like,
though, at
oh,
this
sorry.
stage, which actually made it pretty complicated, and that's why, everyone's got their own personal journey, but the reason why I personally keep bringing God back into the picture is I truly believe that God had a plan for me to do this, because at this stage, my husband and I were actually living in China. We were living in Shanghai City in China for a few months for my husband's work. And I had flown to New York City for the photo shoot, come back. We were still doing this China gig. And this is when I needed to record myself teaching a grit class. But I wasn't teaching in China, and no one in Shanghai speaks English. So we had to
Okay.
return to South Africa to renew our visas so that we could return back to China and finish the leg of my husband's work contract. So I had 4 days in Cape Town to renew our visa, and within those 4 days, I learned the grit cardio release. I organized a personal group of people to meet me at the gym so that I could record that class. I submitted that class to Les Mills Jr. in New Zealand, and we flew to Shanghai City the next day. And I managed to get that done in a very short space of time, but I feel like that window of opportunity opened up for me, and I was ready to meet that challenge. And that's how it
So
kind of
you were
came together.
like, so you were like very determined to be like, I'm gonna make it happen.
Absolutely. Whatever the circumstance, whatever challenge, or whatever was thrown my way, I was really determined to make it work.
Because you were in China, you flew back, you make it like you call the people, tape yourself, send it. Oh my God, yeah, that's quite the process.
And that's why I always say to people, I truly believe when hard work and passion meets opportunity, really great things can happen.
Kaylee, what's the difference that is there a difference between Kaylee pre-Les Mills and post-Les Mills? Like, for example, I'm very shy, I'm very introvert, but Les Mills has helped me to develop like kind of a social skills per se.
Absolutely. This was actually one of the things that I really valued and appreciated within my first initial module training, is that not only was it a really great group fitness product from an athletic point of view and seeing the fitness results, but during the module training, I really found that they invested a lot of time and energy in developing the actual person. And I think this is what really helped me fall in love with the brand, is that they just have such a holistic approach to building a coach all round, not just one element. There's so many elements that they work on. And I guess just years of continuous training and upskilling of myself, I've definitely been able to flourish within building those social skills. So yeah, I would say that pre-Les Mills, look, I was still really young and I just finished school. So I guess anyone in life, when they're in their early 20s to later on in their 20s, they're going to mature. But I'm glad that I found Les Mills when I did, and that I was able to invest in working on my social capabilities and my social development at that stage.
Okay. And also when you started, developing yourself, I mean, it's a whole process of, I think you never become like perfect at it, or I don't believe you get to a point where you're like, I don't need to learn anymore or anything like that. But do you feel kind of a pressure to deliver? Like, this is Kaylee's standard, okay? But sometimes I feel tired. Sometimes it's a bad day. So how do you feel? How do you cope with the pressure that comes with delivering master classes or just classes to your audience? When they expect.
This is a really good question, actually, and a question that I don't think many people have asked me. And I think that there's a little bit more to this that I'd like to unwrap a little bit. The pressure is definitely real. It's definitely like, this is for me at least, this is a thing. And I'm sure a couple of the other people that present, a couple of the other ambassadors or a couple of the other masterclass presenters feel very similar. Because, hey, like you say, everyone also has a bad day where they're maybe not having as much energy, or they're just not up to performing to what maybe they had on a good day. I think for me, my biggest challenge at this stage is that because Les Mills is still such a small footprint here in South Africa, I don't actually get to actively teach. And how does one become the master of a craft? It's by repetition, it's by practice, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm not practicing all the time, and if I'm not within a coaching space all the time, how can I continue to master my skill? And so I've gone through numerous times in the past couple of years where I'm teaching and then I'm not teaching. And then there's another gym chain that has licenses so I can teach, and then I can't teach. And then then I just couldn't teach, and I haven't been teaching for a couple of years now. So the only time I have the opportunity to teach is when I am filming, or when I'm organizing personalized classes as practice classes before I head over for an event or before I head over for filming. And so personally, this has been a big deal for me to work through mentally, because this has been one of my biggest limiting factors for me, where I'm telling myself, well, how can I be my best if I'm not teaching like the other guys do every single day, every week, and they get to practice and make mistakes and learn from their mistakes and get better at what they do. Whereas me, I don't have that opportunity. I have one opportunity to stand up on stage and be the best I can. And what happens if that's not good enough? And so I had to work through this and be okay with that, So I've just made a commitment to myself that I do the best that I can with what I'm given. And if that's enough, then that's God's plan. And if the path changes, then that's how it's meant to be. And so, I guess, for example, Les Mills New Orleans, which was about 2 months ago, back in August, I organized a couple of classes to teach before I headed over to America. So this just gave me the opportunity to get comfortable within my teaching space again, to be able to practice some of my coaching cues, and just to ensure that I felt confident and I felt prepared. Because I always say prior preparation prevents poor performance. So if I'm not going to...
Can you repeat that excellent phrase?
It's the 5 P's. Prior preparation prevents poor performance. Prior preparation prevents poor performance.
That's an awesome quote, Kaylee.
Yeah. So it's been a big deal. But hey, I just put my best foot forward and I do what I can. And at the end of the day, if I haven't done the best that I can, and I've maybe been lazy, or I don't know, I've given myself room to compromise my performance, whose fault is that? Can only be mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's how, because you deliver, like I was talking about, you deliver products to worldwide. So how do you cope with negative feedback, or you don't listen to it, you don't read about it, or how do you cope with negative feedback?
I think at first, in the beginning, it was quite difficult for me to process and to figure out what was the best way for me to cope with it. It's funny, you can have 100 positive compliments and there can be one negative comment, and it can completely change your world upside down. Even though it's
Yeah.
1 to 100, which it doesn't make sense, does it? But just that one negative comment can really get into your head and it can eat your flesh.
Yeah.
And I think I'm just so grateful for the maturity and the coaching of my husband, because he's really been able to help set my head in the right space if and when a negative comment has come up and I sit and I ponder on it. He's really helped me to set my mind straight and to refocus myself, and cut that out. So yeah, it's not easy I don't think it's easy for anyone. Everyone
Yeah.
has a different way of coping with it, and some days it's easier to deal with it and other days it's not. But yeah, one just needs to try focus on the good and not the negative.
Yeah, for sure. And what would the big challenges that you have to overcome when becoming a public figure, a worldwide figure?
The tallest trees catch the most wind, and you just got to be okay with that.
So, has it got any easier to
Yeah, I
perform?
think so. To perform.
Yeah,
Hey, every time I get up on stage, I'm so nervous, and I think that that's a very healthy feeling. If I wasn't nervous, that would mean I'm not in a space of growing and learning. So yeah, I think I'm still in the right place.
because I saw on Instagram that you were in a great presentation with Erin
Yeah,
not so
in
long
New
ago.
Orleans. Yeah, Les Mills, New Orleans in America. Aaron and I and a couple of the other USA presenters, we team taught grit cardio at the Les Mills live fitness event up on stage. It was so nice to be
And
presenting back with Aaron and back with the rest of the US tap team. It's been a good few years since we had that opportunity.
I I believe, I really believe that for me at least, that you're one of the most, no, I mean, I don't want to compare, but I mean, when I see you in the master classes, you give such a positive vibe that I was like, when I saw you, I was like, I have to interview, talk to her, chat with her. I mean,
Hey, I really
you're
appreciate that.
really awesome.
I really like coming from my heart. I really appreciate that. It means more to me than I think you know. Thank you.
Yeah, because I mean, every time or most of the time that something difficult happens in my life, I don't know why I always rely on exercise or music. And
Yeah.
some of those times, mostly when it's with you presenting with Bas,
Yeah, yeah.
it just puts a smile on my face, you know?
Man, that honestly fulfills me so much, and it just reminds me like how much I really love group fitness, and I really truly believe group fitness unites communities worldwide. There's just really something so special about it, and not everyone's the same. Some people gravitate towards group fitness and they get such a great positive energy from it, and other people prefer to exercise in other ways and means, like everyone has their own thing. And I always say when someone's quite new to the fitness world is that they really just need to try and be open to testing and trying out new things until they find something that they truly connect with and that serves them and that makes them happy. Like they mustn't be going to do XYZ just to make other people happy and to say, hey, yeah, I did it. I did it because I was told I have to. That doesn't serve you or anyone.
That's why I always tell people, if you don't want to do my class, for example, you don't have to. Just find something that makes you move, makes you happy, and stick with it. And if later on you want to try, then go ahead. But you don't have to do it the first time or the whole
door's always
class.
open. Yeah, I think that's a great approach. You should continue doing that.
But I really enjoy the Les Mills format because it's like a hardcore party where, well, I mean, depending on the class, for example, I'm in love with Body Attack and Les Mills Grit.
Okay, nice.
But it's not
There's a lot
gonna be
about
the
your
same as.
personality, hey?
I mean, since I don't know, it's two of the hardest classes in Les Mills for me. But I just connect with them, in maybe like a personal level, because it sounds weird, but it lets all my maybe all my power, passion in them. So I never tried like body balance. I never tried, so I don't know how I would be in one of them because it's so calm.
Now that you've said it out
I'm
loud,
not used to it.
now that you've said it out loud, now you got to commit to just trying one class.
I want to try one, but it's so
Be
different from what I'm
curious
used
and
to.
be curious and go do Body Balance 75, the first one I ever filmed. Then you can
75.
entertain yourself while you do body balance for your body.
I'll make a statement right here. I'm doing body balance 75.
Yeah, there we go.
And there's a kind of a moving from topic. I mean, if you don't want to get really into it, that's all right. But I read that in an early age you were diagnosed with depression.
Yeah, that's correct.
I really was wondering, how did you overcome it? Or not like overcome it per se, but how did you find a balance to be okay with life and with yourself?
Yeah. I think everyone's experience with clinical depression is a very personal journey and a very different journey per person. So just to unpack my experience, I was 17, 18 years old. So I was just not graduating. I was finishing high school at that stage. And there was a lot going on in my personal life and my family life. My mom and dad, we were in the process of immigrating to a different country and closing up our life back in South Africa, and then the immigration didn't go through, so then we had to reopen all the doors that we had closed back, and then my parents got divorced, and my father was a functional alcoholic, and then he passed away, he died. It was just a sequence of one thing after the next, and I just felt every time I stood up I would get knocked down, and every time I would stand up I'd get knocked down. And I think at some point, when so many traumatic events happen in a very condensed time, sometimes it's just your brain capacity and the chemicals that are released in your brain just don't have the opportunity to function the way that they should. And so, yeah, luckily I had a family that loved me and cared for me very much, and that they wanted to help me. And so I had a psychiatrist. I was booked into a hospital, and I had a psychiatrist diagnose me with clinical depression. And that's when my psychiatrist helped me to understand a little bit more about what depression meant, and that it didn't mean that I was just being sad. It meant that I had an imbalance in chemicals in my brain, and that I needed a little bit of help to balance that out in order to cope with life, and to cope with life's stresses, and also to cope with everything that was going on in my life at that stage. And so I was put on antidepressants. It took a while for me to find the right antidepressant that worked with me. The first one or two brands that I was on, it didn't work out. So then I was on these antidepressants for a couple of months, and I was seeing a psychologist every week. And I guess there was just a couple of things that I had put in place to help me cope and to help me work through this really dark stage that I was in. Unfortunately, life carries on. So, while I was battling with depression, didn't mean that my life's situations were all happy and fixed. I still had to deal with a lot of traumatic events that were continuing to happen around me while I was trying to get myself out of depression. But I honestly believe, with the help of professionals, of being on antidepressants at that stage, it just really helped set me straight. And then put fitness in the picture. Group fitness. I found group fitness at probably the perfect time within that stage of clinical depression. And that's when I started holistically putting more healthy habits into my life. I focused on eating better. I focused on what I was putting into my body from a nutritional perspective. And I found a style of exercise that I truly connected with. And I exercised every day. And as science proves, exercise has a chemical and a physical reaction. And slowly but surely, I started putting all these coping tools into place. And I was giving my body and my mind the right chemical balance that it needed, so that I could remove the medication that I was on. And once I found that I was feeling strong enough, I was brave enough, I felt, well, let's come off the medication and see if I can cope without it. I think I'd been on antidepressants for maybe 1 year, which can be a long time in some people's eyes, and can maybe be a very short time in other people's lives. And so I came off of the medication, and I was doing really well. And so I just really valued the routine that I had anchored myself in. And I just know that those pillars were my strength to keep me balanced. And it was really important for me to prioritize my health, my nutrition, my exercise, and my mental health, giving myself all those things that I needed. And then I'm very proud to say I was able to then work through my dad's passing. He died while I had come off antidepressants, and I didn't fall back into that dark hole, and I was actually able to cope by myself and go through that mourning process without having to rely on medication. And I think at that stage really found the confidence that I needed in myself, and I believed in myself, and I knew that I could do it. And so, and I've luckily at this point never gone back to that space. I was always a little bit hesitant and doubtful when I fell pregnant and I had our firstborn Ella. My psychologist had said to me, Caley, one day when you have children, because depression falls within your genetic stream, and because you're dealing with depression, this might be something that you need to be very aware of when you have a child, because there's such a fluctuation in your hormone balance. Your body might be prone, or your brain chemical might be prone to going through post-birth depression. And so I was really anxious that I was going to become depressed when I had a baby. And I was like, I'm not ready for this. Like, am I going to go back to that space? But no, with God's strength and my family support, I've never been back in that space. Thank goodness.
So your pregnancy progress was all good, and post pregnancy, all good?
Absolutely. And I truly believe I exercised almost every day throughout my pregnancy, right up until the end. And I think that that was the best thing I could have given myself, and my body, and my
You
baby, and my brain.
you exercise during pregnancy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
I truly encourage all pregnant women,
Wow.
if they are in a healthy risk pregnancy, that they absolutely should exercise. There's just so many benefits for both the mom and the baby during pregnancy to exercise.
So, until what month do you think it's healthy to keep exercising while being in
Until the
pregnancy
day you
process?
fall into labor. You obviously have to start modifying towards the end. Some exercises might become a little uncomfortable, but hey, there's so many different creative ways of lifting your heart rate and getting your muscles to fire up, have that mind body muscle connection. So honestly, if you have the capacity and you have the mental energy to get through it, through a workout, keep exercising until your waters break.
Wow. Wow.
It's
Wow.
just so
Okay,
much
like,
easier. It honestly is so much easier to get back into training, and it also prepares your body for a really healthy and strong delivery. Women that have exercised during their pregnancy have a much higher a success rate at natural birth, because they're healthier, they're stronger, they're fitter, their heart muscle is stronger, their lung capacity and their leg strength and their core strength is stronger. That's why my CALEY Fit pre and postnatal programs are just honestly so close to my heart. I've got such a passion for pre and postnatal exercise. That's a whole nother podcast of its own.
oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, I read just a brief comment. I read that you studied uh, something about that topic, right? About postnatal.
Yeah. Yes, so very shortly after I became when I started studying to get into the health and fitness space, before Les Mills even came into my life, I knew that I wanted to dedicate my life to be in the pregnancy fitness space. I just gravitated towards it, and I've always had such a fueling passion for pregnancy fitness.
Wow. I
So
mean,
that's another side
that
to my career that Les Mills don't know too much about.
I would love to make an episode about that topic for sure, for sure. It could help people, you know.
Yeah, let's do it.
I just
I'd
want
love
to
to.
uh, kind of ask you. I don't know if it's correct, but I read it, or maybe I misunderstood. But I don't want to make you uncomfortable or anything. But when you said your father passed away, right? It's just that I think I read in our interview that on his final days you were with him and you told him to it was okay to let go.
This is such a terrible time for the line to go bad. You're gonna have to
Oh
repeat
man.
yourself again. I'm so sorry. I heard you say something about my father's passing and that I was with him and that I was saying something. Try again.
Yeah, I I I believe I read in an interview that you told him to it was okay to let go.
All right. Otherwise, you can WhatsApp the question to me and I can continue answering.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Just one minute.
The line seems better. Try one more time with your question.
Okay. Does it sounds good now?
Yeah, it hasn't been breaking up now.
Okay. Maybe the universe doesn't want to dive into that topic.
Well, I'll tell you if I'm uncomfortable answering it, but let me hear the question first.
No, no, no. Just that I I think I read in an interview that
Yeah.
in your father's final days, you told him that it was okay to let go.
Yeah.
How,
Do you
I
have a
mean,
question, or are you just asking me to unpack that?
yeah, no, I have a question. How how on earth did you get to, I mean, not in a bad way, but how on earth did you found the,
Find the strength to say that?
or I don't know if it was like a epiphany moment, life realization. I don't know. I mean, that takes a whole lot of strength. Uh, I really, I was shocked when I read that, that I was like, what, how did you?
Yeah. Um, you know, truly, to be honest, from my heart, in that moment when I said those words to him, I didn't feel like it was me speaking. I feel like it was the Holy Spirit speaking through me. I feel like God was giving me the strength in that moment to say the words that I needed to for him to be able to let go. And for some miraculous way, I can't explain it. I truly felt and I believed in those words as I was saying them. And the only thing that I can say is for me, it was the power and the strength of God that carried me through those words. And that's just the faith and the journey that I have with my walk as a Christian. That, you know, that's just that's my story. Thank you for letting me share that with you.
No, I mean, I thank you for, because it was, when I read it, it was like, how, you know.
Yeah. I
But
think the hardest part is that he was he was he was ill for such a short period of time, so I didn't have much time to process. I didn't have much time to process the reality of what I was dealing with. Whereas, I guess if I had had a couple of weeks or months, I may have had the time to process how I was feeling and what that meant. But because it happened within like 3 or 4 days, I can honestly only say that it was the power and strength of God that helped me say that and helped me come to that realization, truly believing those words, saying that, and finding the strength to be able to tell him that. And at that stage when I had said that, he was under sedation. So I'm not even sure if he heard me or if he was able to understand me, because he was under sedation, so he wasn't able to respond. I also wasn't able to say goodbye, but this, I guess, was my way of saying goodbye and knowing that he would be okay in his heart, that he hadn't disappointed us. You're gonna make me cry now if you start crying.
no, it's just, I mean, sorry, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's a big
It's
deal.
just, it's,
It's been a lot of years of working through different stages of mourning. You know, losing anyone in life, whether they are the closest person you'll ever have, or not. No, death. Nothing prepares you for death in life. It's a real personal journey.
yeah, for sure. And when you say it's a moment you can explain, like, I totally get that. I have moments like that, that something happens when you, I don't know, maybe are okay with something that it's not easy, but
Yeah.
you somehow feel, I mean, like you said, you can explain the feeling, but you're okay with it in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Kaylee, thank you for
Whew.
sharing that. I
You're welcome.
le- that's amazing. Because amazing in the way that throughout this episode, you have mentioned your faith, and in everything that you do, that you have your faith in God, since you said you're a Christian, and that's what's awesome to me.
Thanks for appreciating that, and thanks for letting me feel so comfortable to be able to speak openly about who I am and what, what feels right for me.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's a topic for another episode. I'm seeing on the timer here that it's about time, but about not because I'm doing it to be something I'm not or anything, but I really believe that we should have more empathy to people. And there's something I listened from you, that you said there's a difference between hearing and listening.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And I love that quote, and because that's basically what I've been seeing lately in people, that they just hear, they don't listen.
Yeah.
So I think that empathy
Life can be
is
so fleeting, and we live in such a fast-paced world nowadays where, I think just a culture and society unintentionally create us to be very, very selfish creatures. And sometimes it's quite important to take a couple of steps back and try to decide what kind of a human you want to be like, and what you want to put into the world, and what you would want to receive from others, because essentially, if that's what you want to receive, that's what you should be giving.
and I'm not speaking from a perfection point of view or anything, but I have learned that being a better person, it's a better way to live, for sure. I have learned that from the hard way, but it's sure's worth it. It's really worth it.
Yeah, not always easy, but it's worth it.
No, yeah, but I think I don't want to wrap it up with such a maybe sad or emotional feeling, but sometimes I think that's necessary, and those moments I think are good, are not.
Hey, I'm feeling inspired. I'm not feeling sad. I'm feeling inspired. I'm feeling like I want to go out and be the best damn person I can try be. You've just encouraged me. Thank you.
No, thank you, Kaylee, because like I said, whenever I had a difficult time or anything, just crank up a grits our body attack video, and we're ready to go. And I'll just I know if he will kill me if I don't ask you. My brother, it's like a very body combat fan. He's very passionate about it. So is my sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Actually, they become a couple through body combat. So
that's so cool.
And,
what an epic story.
Yeah, for sure. And they told me, "Oh my God, you're gonna talk to Kaylee. Can you please tell her that, or ask her if she plans to come back to body combat masterclasses?"
Oh no, you're breaking up again. Repeat that.
Oh, they is it good now, or is it breaking still?
Yeah, try again.
Oh, they told me, please, could you ask her if she, in the future, she will be coming back to body combat master classes?
Oh, well, please tell them, maybe they're listening now. I would I would be so honored, and I would love to return to a masterclass filming. But that's all left to the decision of Les Mills International. So, whatever the future may bring, let it be.
Let it be, for sure. It's just that they say, man, we notice her absence, so we miss her in the videos,
Get them to send Les Mills International an email. I've got so many people asking me that. It's so funny. I'm just like, yeah, just email them, tell them what they miss or what they want, and maybe the request will be honored.
But you're still part of the Les Mills team, or?
In some capacity, yes, and in another capacity, no. When I chose to fall pregnant and start my family, they put my contract on hold until further notice. And I guess that's just them respecting the space that I need to take while having a baby. But yeah, we'll see what the future brings. I have so much passion and love for the team, and I know that it goes both ways. So whenever the time is ready, let it be.
Oh, that would be great. They miss you in Body Combat. I'm not too much into Body Combat, but I miss you in Grid. So
sorry, repeat that question.
Oh no, just that they miss you in Body Combat, and I miss you in Grid. I don't do Body Combat, so. But
please thank them. Please thank them.
Sure.
I miss you.
Sorry, now it breaks from my side.
I said, please tell them to say, I really thank you so much. Thank you for their support and their love, and that they still want to see more of me. I would love to be in their face more and grill them and give them pain from a body combat coaching point of view. And maybe grit too.
Yeah, I love that answer. I'm sure they will love that answer. So, CALEY, I really, really, really appreciated you from taking this time to be a part of this project, because it's a project that I've been wanting to do for so long. Like I told you in the message, is from.
It's an honor for me to be here today. Thank you so much for having me as one of your guests. I really am truly grateful, and for all the kind and encouraging comments that you've had too. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for uplifting me as a person, and for being so interested in my journey and my walk, and it's been really great to unpack a couple of things with you today.
Now, for you and for your positive vibe, I think I jumped the intro, but I'm gonna do it right now.
Okay,
because
no
today's guest, it's an absolute legend. I think I speak for myself and from the Les Mills community that might listen to this episode. CALEY Jack, who is just an awesome person, and who is an awesome trainer. So, CALEY, thank you so much. I mean, whenever you have your spot always on
Abraham,
on
thank
this
you
project.
so much for having me here today, and thanks for the chat.
Yeah, no problem. We can keep in contact via WhatsApp and book in another day.
Perfect, CALEY. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great evening.
You too, CALEY. Thank you so much.